Welcome to Fun is Fundamental. Fun is Fundamental is a podcast for those who realize that the enjoyment of life is about having something deep in our souls which lights our fire. It's for those who maybe have lost that fire and feel like they are missing out on the pleasures of life. In each episode, I will share recent fun activities and focus on why having fun is essential for good health. I'm your host, Elenia, and I invite you to take this journey with me and join the pleasure-seeking movement.
My guest today is Marcy Axelrod. She is a best-selling and award-winning author. She's a TV contributor, a 2-time TEDx speaker, and a management consultant. Her latest book, How We Choose to Show Up, is a #1 bestseller and was recently awarded the Hayakawa Book Prize. Her approaches have been tested and proven through projects with some of the world's largest high-tech companies, with a background on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley. Marcy's work has been highly praised by professors at Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Columbia, and Cornell. Based on 20-plus years of research, Marcy's latest book, How We Choose to Show Up, presents in 3D nature's model of how humans are designed to show up to thrive. The resulting model is helping thousands of people connect more deeply with themselves, others, and their experiences, adding meaning to their lives and helping companies around the world to innovate and grow. Showing Up integrates neuroscience, psychology, behavioral economics, and evolutionary biology with top consulting strategies and leading business practices to help people, companies, and societies succeed. In this conversation, Marcy and I dive deeper into how we choose to show up, how that contributes to more fun in our lives, having a more satisfactory life. In our interview, Marcy breaks down the 3 roles as selves, situation members, and societal members. And then also she talks a little bit about the skills needed for each of the roles: self-grounding, situational readiness, and societal all-intelligence, which she describes as connectedness with intent to serve. And then touches on the different levels of showing up. Level 1 being barely there. Level 2, where most of us probably exist most of the time in just showing up. And then level 3 is truly showing up. I hope you take something away from this highly informational episode. Marcy's really a wealth of knowledge in this realm. And like, there were times when I'm just like, even though I had read the book, I was like, learning so much just from talking to her. I was like, oh, I didn't think of it this way, that kind of thing. So I hope that you enjoy the episode.
Good morning, Marcy. How are you doing?
I am really terrific on this gorgeous Friday. Lelena? Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Lelena, yeah. And I'm really thrilled to be kind of pushed a little bit and stretched in my thinking to make sure that I apply, fun and the real question of how does truly showing up make us more fun or less fun, or like how does it impact? And because in the book I didn't focus on fun. The funny thing is my company before showing up was literally to be happy. And happiness was my thing after emotional and social intelligence. So, all of this really does play a very important role in showing up, because showing up helps us be safe. And you can't have fun if you're unsafe, right? Because everything shows up as a threat to you. In fact, I think it was the Dr. Stephanie Chiapolo did research, and she specifically showed that, like, if there's any version of distraction or of concern that you are experiencing, I mean, just think about feeling stressed, feeling rushed, feeling exhausted, hungry, upset with your spouse, your friend, your teen, whatever it may be, neutral or even kind faces show up as a threat.
Hmm.
And you feel unsafe. You feel unsafe. You make the world show up for you in an unsafe way. Can you talk about cutting off fun like right there?
Yeah,
What happened?
definitely. Yeah.
Creativity and the social lubrication, right? That we need to kind of really be human to human, which is what showing up talks about. It goes out the door.
Hmm. Well, and you talk about, like also I can think of like how a lot of times people like make everything about them,
Right.
you know, and I think that sometimes, that's taking you out of this a moment that you're having. And so I think like so much like people having like social anxiety is really because they're just focused on themselves. And so then they're not having any fun because it's become something that's about it's not about the other person. It's not about the connection. It's not about it's being in the moment.
Yes. So you're saying that when you're thinking just about yourself because you have anxiety about how you're showing up, you're
Mhm.
saying it just cuts off, it cuts
Yeah,
off.
it
I
cuts
don't want to.
off like the other, the connection part of that you talk about, like connecting with the other person is part of the truly showing up.
Right, right. Yeah, so let me wrap the model around what you just said if I could.
Hmm.
Yeah, so within a situation, it is showing up to us, but also with us and for us, right? This is kind of part of the lexicon of showing up. We aren't just to each other or kind of to the world. We are with and we are for. And the situation is this alive thing. I think the words that I use in the book are this reverberative process. It reverberates back and forth and back and forth. And Lalanya, like right now, how I feel in my body is because of how you are attending to this moment, how you are looking at me, the stillness of your body, the affirming nod of your head, your expression. So you are my environment right now. You are my situation, right? So readiness for our situation member role, which is what the book talks about, right? There are three roles. We're individualized selves, we're situation members, but we're also a member of something larger. Call it a family, a society, a tribe, a company, a team, right? So you were saying that you can't connect with others, right? When you're feeling that stress of they're judging me, right?
Hmm.
So what our situation member role explains to the world is this really transformational thing, which is that it's not them over here and you over here and them judging you. What's really going on is you are creating them. You are their environment, their world. So they are a member of the same situation that you are. And you're both showing up and literally coming alive with each other because of each other and for each other. So there's no like againstness. It's much more, and what I'm doing for people listening is I'm taking my hands and I'm interweaving my fingers. It's much more of an integrated, co-evolving, co-creating life in that moment. And so that's the impact of our situation member role. So I would love your thoughts, Lalanya, on how does the connection, I mean, given your expertise on fun, how does the connection help you to utilize, the power of fun?
I mean, I think you talk a lot about um preparing and readiness
Yeah.
uh and I think like really being in, well, we could talk about, so like you have like the self grounding, right?
Yes.
Um, next is like readiness in the
Yes.
situation.
Right.
And then third is societal, um,
Connectedness.
yeah,
Yeah.
connectedness. And I think w when it comes to like if you're really truly gonna have fun, all of those aspects, do need to be present. And like when I was talking about kind of like people having social anxiety, that's all like, them just focusing on, on themselves. And, I think, maybe like first doing the work of like kind of working through some of those like self-limiting beliefs that you think that other people are thinking about you, which doesn't mean that they're even happening, is maybe like the first thing. And then, preparing yourself by putting, obviously put you like if you put yourself into social situations more, obviously, that will help. And then I think realizing that we're most of the time people are not thinking about you in, a negative way. Like really, so often people are like wanting to hear your story, your stories, wanting to know about you. Like people are curious about other people, and I think just generally to show up to have fun, you
Hmm.
have to like kind of do like there is like this like work that you need to do to kind of like put some things down and kind of, be able to relax a little bit to be able to be open to the possibilities. And, and to like let yourself be silly and let yourself not not judge yourself for like saying something that's ridiculous or, dancing. Sometimes you look silly when you're dancing, but it feels great, Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what you're talking to something about something, social anxiety that a large portion of our society experiences. And it really stops people in their tracks. It definitely takes away the fun. Absolutely. Thinking that someone's judging you. Yeah, showing up has a lot to say about this, right? I mean, because it's when you're on the same team, right? Which is really what showing up talks about. Everyone is interconnected, just like all the roots under every tree. They actually help each other. And yet society teaches us you're separate. And society teaches us that we have opinions about each other, which is kind of bizarre to me. I managed to, I mean, it was the blessing of the stuttering, right? I started stuttering when I was 6. My throat still gets locked. And because I couldn't show up as I chose, right? And I think the story's in the first couple pages of the book. Because I couldn't show up as I chose, which was really riddled with anxiety of, oh my God, what are these people like, I can't speak. They're going to assume I can't think. I was humiliated and I wasn't filled with shame. I was filled with horror. But I was so young, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I said to myself, well, I mean, I don't know if I said to myself, but like in retrospect, it seems like I was like, there's nothing I can do. So because there's nothing that I can do to change how I'm showing up, I'm gonna just start to watch what's everyone else doing. I just had to like almost cut it off. Like, I got to be done with this. I can't survive this. So I started to observe how other people show up. And I don't think I have felt someone else's judgment for more than a second, like in the last, 45 plus years of my life. So it's been a major gift. Even my sister was saying, like, oh, you wear your hat, it's because of you want people to see you a certain way. And it was bizarre. I'm like, well, I started wearing hats because I like hats, you know? Been doing this for 20 years. Like I haven't really dressed or kind of done what most people do since I was probably 12 years old.
Hmm.
It was the gift of the stuttering. It's like you can't think about when anyone thinks because you're just surviving.
Yeah.
Um, but what's showing up, I mean, that led to turning my self mirror outward. And it led me to devour psychology and neuroscience and all these things that we're trying to, or well, I was trying to answer. How are we designed to show up? How did nature design us? Why is this so hard for people? That's where the model came from. And ultimately, there's no judgment. It basically says if we're all interlinked, and I'm happy to read some quotes in science about that explains this. And both of my TED Talks mentioned some of the science that I think is the most impactful about how the 20 people we're around the most are 45% more likely to do what we do.
Mm.
And because they're doing what we do, they're feeling the way that we feel and they're thinking what we think. So they think, feel, and act the way that we do just by virtue of being with us. And this isn't just the people you see every day. It's actually the people they're with too. So your friends are 25% more likely to do what you do. And then your friends, people you would never meet are 10% more likely to do what you do. I mean, if this doesn't mean we impact each other all the time, I don't know what does. Right? And just the fact that you feel what someone feels just by seeing a photo. You don't even have to be with someone. You can look at a photo and all of a sudden it changes your body. I mean, if we're not interlinked like this, like there's no way islands of separate people would do that. You know, I mean, it's like, what are you thinking? So, I mean, when you recognize that we're all interlinked, we're all leaves on the same tree, right? The concept that one leaf is going to judge another, it's like bizarre. No one is judging us. And you know what? If they are, what you should like give them a hug. Say, how are you?
Yeah.
Care is the universal elixir. It's care. That's at the center of showing up. I want to know how this continuum impacted you. The one that explains how we get to this one. And for your listeners, this is the continuum and shows the three levels of showing up. Barely there, just showing up and truly showing up. And then it explains how when you're only in your self role, and I'll send you these slides that you can put up for your podcast listeners.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Lanya, what it shows is when you're in your barely there state, you're really self-focused. Your mirror is turned inward. Your grounding in yourself is relatively low.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to be ready for this highly impactful state of being in a situation with another is relatively low because you aren't really planning and preparing, and your interconnectedness with others is relatively low. When you're in that state, it's very hard to feel a sense of oneness with others. But as you move into also being fully present in your situation member role, and then getting into recognizing your impact on the world, you start to notice far more deeply what's really going on. Then you tune in, then you feel with, and then you enact care. And no one is judging you. It just eviscerates. Why? Because you have no ego at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Feeling judgment from others is because you have an ego. But the moment you feel like we're all just one at a fundamental level, and my ability to impact the world is just by how I choose to show up, there's no more anxiety.
Well, yeah, every time, like if you've been with someone who is like really present and like generous,
like with their energy with you, it makes you feel so good, and you're like, it's like, wouldn't you want to do that for other people, to be that person to like, make them feel great, like to be around, Whereas if you're with someone who is like so down on themselves and like thinking everyone, all these negative things about like how they perceive the world sees them, it's draining to be around, And so why we like that's the thing. Like if we could take ourselves out of it and try to be that person that is generous with our energy
Yeah.
and, build, make other people feel good to be around. It's like that would be such a huge difference in the world, you know?
Abs yeah. So to what extent do you feel that we actually have the responsibility to do that?
I mean, in a way, it's like I feel like we owe it to ourselves and others, like because I think it's the thing that like lifts everyone. It's not about, you know, like you yourself, you know, and everyone around you will feel better. So it's like it's not
Mhm.
even, I don't even think it's about like if you have a responsibility.
Mm.
It's life changing. Like, I mean, in a way, it's like, don't you owe it to yourself? Like, you don't, you know?
So you're saying don't you owe it to yourself? That's interesting. Did you get the theme in the book when I talked about just showing up about like this is not okay?
Hmm.
Can't live your life too much on improv mode
Sure.
where you're just kind of like checking the timing and your look and you just kind of walk on out, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely is not an existence, really. It's just like, yeah, you're just, you know, yeah.
How often do you feel you just show up as I defined it?
I mean, yeah, pretty often for sure. I think, yeah, because how so often it just feels like you're just putting out fires. You know, it's that feeling of just like, oh yeah, I have to do this thing, I have to do that thing, and you're just like you're constantly like going from fire to fire, you know? And and so like it's hard to like sometimes it's just hard to take that time to like go deeper, go farther,
So what do you think would, yeah, I mean, this phrase came to me that I'd love to hear your thoughts on, which is get it done, right? The whole putting out fire mode, get it done became choose to show up.
Hmm.
Does that resonate? I mean, if people don't understand the model of how we're like it's really a belief system, right? For how to live a better life, which is that we're not competing. We are with each other. We are for each other. We are intertwined. We are each other's environment, each other's happiness, each other's sadness, like we just are.
Hmm.
And it's not just us, it's the world and it's the system of social justice and education and everything else because we're creating, right? So how we show up is creates those things and is those things. Um, yeah, so I mean, what's your sense of what would help people move from this putting out fire mode into, you know, a moment of pause and then choice of how they show up?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, in our society, obviously, the more people that like kind of learn that it is a choice of how to show up,
Hmm.
um, the more, and then they choose to show up, right? They choose to show up on a higher level. The more the more our interconnectedness, can like help the people that are on the bottom of our society. I think that, I understand someone like if you are struggling to keep a roof over your head, if you are like, there's like, on the Maslow hierarchy of needs, if your basic needs are, you're struggling to have those things met and you're not feeling safety, right? Obviously you're not in it's going to be hard to be in a space where you can choose to show up in, a higher regard. But there's a lot of people that have the privilege to, feel like that, do feel more safe and, you know, can choose how to show up for society. And I think like this could be like this thing where, the ripples, you know,
Mhm.
the ripples go out because we're all part of the same ocean, right?
Mhm. That's exactly right. One of the metaphors that I use is that we're all drops of water in the ocean, right? And you can take a spoon and you can pick up ocean water, but it's not separate, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's the same thing. And the interesting thing about the ocean is while, there might be slight differences of, minerals and fungi, whatever it is around, right? In essence, it's one ocean, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I believe that even people who are in times of struggle have a choice of how they're showing up because the world shows up for us the way we show up to it, with, to, and for it, right? So we create how the world shows up for us, right? Which is why it's so important to always function, to always have our self mirror turned outward. There's a small s for self and a large S version of self. And I don't spend a lot of time on this in the book, but it's extremely important because the small s is that what are they thinking about me? I need to be seen as this way, or I'm lesser than, or better than, or I deserve, or my anxiety is taking over. That's the small s self, and it has a big ego. It's all about me, I, me, mine, and it's in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex of the brain and makes us miserable.
Mhm.
This is the self that when that study was done about, that found that, something like 65% of people would rather shock themselves and inflict pain than be alone for 5 minutes with their own thoughts.
Mm.
That's that self.
Yeah.
Small s, I call it for self. But what showing up talks about is this large S for self. This is the self that recognizes that we came through a lineage that's much larger than us, right? Like we all came from hundreds or thousands, millions of people before us, such that the genes came and now we exist, right? And then, if we have kids, there's going to be thousands or millions of people who come through and from us. And everything on the planet is the same way. Everything that exists came from the earth, right? We are of the earth. We're not on the earth. We are of the earth. And it doesn't mean that, God didn't create us if you believe in it, in a divine creator, but to a certain extent, this is all one thing, right?
Mhm.
So the large S self is kind of the self that indigenous peoples have always understood, right? Which is that we're part of this whole process called life that came into being. And we're all from the same things, and we're all in essence, deeply, deeply the same. We're all one. We're part of humanity. And we're not all that different from the trees. I mean, just look at us. Like, look at our structure. Like, I mean, it's like if this isn't like the tree outside, I don't know what is. Yeah. So it's the largest self is really that being that feels the reality of how nature designed us as oneself. Yeah, and kind of we lose this because society and the language that we use misleads us and it makes us think that we're separate. Um, but really, the more you just kind of look around, you start to notice if that little drop of water is impacting me this much, how could we not be connected in some way? How could we not be of a whole? Right? Why does something like 10 seconds of listening to a nature sound change us?
Yeah.
Right? That I think it's chapter 12 of my book, right? That gave all those indications of how interconnected we are. I don't know if you remember that. Did you get to that part of the book?
I did not read the last chapter, I think, yet,
Or
because I I got into the moving.
got it.
Yeah. But
Yeah. Should I just read a quote here?
sure.
Yeah, so from page 267. So this is supporting the concept that we were talking about how interconnected we really are. So the skill for our societal role, it's connectedness with intent to serve. And the word I put on it is all-telligence. It recognizes that humans are facets of our natural world. Flourishing requires we behave in a manner consistent with this, right? And fun does too. For example, as little as 2 hours in nature across a week measurably increases feelings of calmness. It raises endorphin levels and dopamine production, and it boosts happiness. It deepens concentration and attention while simultaneously reducing anxiety, depression, loneliness, irritability, blood pressure, and cortisol, which is our stress hormone.
Mhm.
Right? Even mere contact with nature, such as hearing it, brings positive social interactions, a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, and decrease mental stress, right? It also makes us nicer, more cooperative, and more generous. And there were about 5 footnotes in what I just read. So all the science is, explained in the back of the book. So, how could we think we're separate from nature and from each other? It doesn't even make sense. So that's the concept of being part of something larger. And ideally, it really changes how we show up, right? The moment you really reflect on it, like, should I get pissed off at that person or feel hurt or feel stressed? We're like two blades of grass, right? I mean, should one blade of grass be upset with the other? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think when really start having like empathy for other people, well, you start to recognize that when people lash out or say negative things about you, it's really about it's how they're feeling about themselves, and I think having like that understanding and empathy that, that maybe, yeah, maybe they need some compassion, you know.
absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what this is all about. So the continuum, there are 3 levels of showing up. I could have chosen 8 or 12, but I made it simple. 1, 2, 3,
Mhm.
barely there, just showing up and truly showing up. And what you were saying relates to this because everyone and everything is somewhere on there. They're either barely there, just showing up, or truly showing up. What truly showing up means is that you're able to be deeply in the moment, but also ask yourself, how am I choosing to show up?
Mhm.
So you have an awareness that you have a choice right now how you're showing up, and you're making that choice. And then you kind of forget about that, right? And you're in the moment.
Mhm.
And then maybe at some later time, you kind of say, how am I showing up, right? So you're able to bring this dual awareness of being fully there while also choosing how you're being in your moment. Because that's your point of contact with the world. And this, of course, is what gets you closer to living the life you want to live, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
The fact that everyone's on the continuum at all moments, it kind of lets us let them be them, right? This is, I'm just drawing upon now Mel Robbins' let them theory. Mel wrote the quote for the front of the book, and she has her own book that's out there now. You know, everyone's on the continuum. You got to just let them be where they are.
Mhm.
They can just show up. They can truly show up. They can be barely there. Maybe a pet just died. Maybe a loved one died. Maybe they're grieving. Maybe they're sick. Maybe their home just burned down. Maybe they're just in a moment where they're saying, my life isn't the way I really want it to be. What in the world am I going to do?
Mhm.
Everyone gets to be there. And all that we're here to do is just say, hey, how you doing? And actually mean it.
Mhm.
Actually mean it. Yeah. And, the moment you just understand, wow, like everyone's on this continuum bopping around at every moment, right? You might start feeling great, truly showing up, you're intentful, you've got your plans for the day. You've already kind of shown care. You've got a couple like kind deeds you want to do. And then you kind of get tired and hungry and you need a break. So you move to the left down to just showing up.
Yeah.
You grab some lunch. Maybe it's not the ideal thing, but like, right. And then you kind of go at it again. So you're kind of moving up and down. And so is everybody. So they're like, just like, they've got to do their thing. Let them do their thing. Don't get upset about it.
Mhm.
And maybe just show some care, because then maybe they'll come to you and say, hey, it was really helpful for me last week when I didn't feel judgment from you. You didn't tell me what to do. You didn't really push this agenda. You didn't, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, during that like kind of period of time for a little while where it felt like there was like all this like be positive, be positive kind of thing. And you're just like that no one is ever always positive. No one's ever like you're gonna have bad days and that's okay. Like, you know, trying to like stifle down your, days of, just not feeling great, like that you're just setting yourself up for probably feeling worse because you're just like burying it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have many days that aren't great. You can have a whole eras of your life that aren't, I mean, because your journey is yours. Yeah. So, I mean, how do you feel? You have a move coming up. You're in childcare. I don't know if that's like what your big term vision is. Is that your vision for your life? Is like to do this?
No, it's not, but I do enjoy being around the kids because so often you get to be in the moment just with them, you get to just be like I'm gonna act silly with you and laugh and so it is something that I enjoy. Like I've done like a desk job and I don't enjoy that. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'd rather go play with kids, you know. But, is it like my life my life goal, like what I am striving for in the future? Not necessarily, but I am enjoying it now while I'm doing it.
What you said is really important about you really get to be in the moment with them. And the interesting thing is you're changing their lives. The trajectory of their lives, it has you and your responses and your emotions in them, right? The trajectory of their lives. So it's deeply important. And that's why people have chosen you to be the one to be with their children. That's massive. That's absolutely massive. And if they trust you to do that, I mean, those are the people who are going to give you the next open door to do something more, you know? So those are the people for you to talk to. You mentioned this, the father who you spoke to about the book. What does he do?
He's in tech.
And you don't want a desk job, right? You don't want something where you're sitting in front of a computer or something where you're just,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
not
I
working with
don't
this
I don't
world.
enjoy it.
I don't think most people do.
Yeah.
Most people want to engage in the real world, just like you're talking about, and be real and like be pulled in, right? It's your situation member role. Like this is where contact with real life is. Yeah. And there's only like a 3-second span. I don't know if this is in the book. There's a 3 second, yes, it is. There's a 3-second span that people call now.
That's crazy. Oh, no.
That's right. It's just, so how did we just invest that moment? Poof, it's gone.
Yep, already.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a great way to start the day, Lalanya. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um, can I make a few more comments about fun?
sure, of course.
Yeah, fun enables us to reach um, it a state where new connections show up for us, right? Because what the safety does is it basically puts our guard down so that, a more optimal state of kind of thought and recognition and insight naturally occurs, right? And I think this is probably what a lot of your guests talk about. It is so lost when we're rushed, when we're on the go, when we're on like, let's just get it done. So just showing up, that level 2 kind of puts a boundary around us and the fun can't get in.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fun because when you're like in this mode of like get it done, and then I have a meeting at 3, and then I have to do this, and then I'm doing this, and I'm really stressed about like what's the boss going to think here, and how am I going to do this? And then all of a sudden the world shows up to us as against us because we aren't ready for what the situation is for our moments. So we don't bring this openness to it. And yeah, so fun's not going to get in. So if we want to feel the fun, we need to recognize who is showing up, what level of grounding, right? Knowledge of who I am and why am I bringing. And then we need to have some level of readiness. And it can be just take 3 breaths, close your eyes, reset your body. It doesn't have to be like intellectually going over what's the agenda of the meeting, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can more be, let's open myself to caring about the human beings, or let's care about the significance of what I'm doing. Even if it's emptying the dishwasher. I bring up this example a lot because people think it's mundane, but it's caring for your family so that when others want to come in and interact around food, which is a connected experience, you can get to meaning faster because you're not focused on like this get it done type of task of let's get the bowls out of the dishwasher, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it brings moving yourself out of that get it done, just showing up mode makes you open to more deeply presencing and therefore meaning, mattering, significance. And then you feel a sense of fulfillment, right? Because you're truly with and for another, which is that green state of truly showing up. So I kind of wanted to, and then of course the fun can show up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, getting out of like that like planning thinking part of your brain where you're like, oh, this is the next thing I have to do. My to-do list. Yeah. Because it's like too hard to like you're not really there if you're thinking about those things. Yeah.
So how do you get out of it, or do you not get out of it? I mean,
I mean, obviously, I'd be a liar if I said that I was like I sometimes was not that I was not out of it, kind of thing. When I'm like gonna go do something that's oh well, I'm gonna go have fun, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about this
hmm.
other thing. You know, like I would be a liar if I said that that didn't happen ever. But I think generally, I've always been kind of a person that has been like open to, being a big kid in a way,
Hmm.
and that, that doesn't mean that, my thinking brain doesn't ever get in the way. But I mean, I guess that's like one reason why I enjoy like being around kids is because, you know, I enjoy just playing, you know?
Hmm.
Um, obviously when someone, trusts me to have their child in my care, I do have to think about, you know, safety and, things like that, obviously. But, you know, I also can just be like, I'm gonna like, so I like to do like music with kids. And sometimes I'll just like start a beat and then I'll start like singing, with them or, and they'll just like stop and be like, just really like, this is great. Like, and like, just like things like that where I'll just like, let's just like stop and be in the moment, you know.
That's amazing. How old is the child you're with?
Um, 7 months.
Oh, really little.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you've only been with this child a short while then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like yeah, very, very recent. Yes.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, do give the book to the gentleman you're working with or the father, or just tell him about it. Oop.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, you seem amazing. I would love for you to continue to share the word about showing up if you feel like it's at all valuable
Definitely.
and helpful. It doesn't sound like the three levels really were the most important thing. It sounds like readiness for your situation hit you or resonated the most.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, like, it is important to, like, recognize, like, the three level thing. But for some reason, like, the whole, you know, social, societal, part of it was, like, really the part that was just like, oh man, like, this is what we need, you know, as a society. Yeah.
When you see the social societal part, what do you mean specifically?
Well, I think just like I think really just I'm thinking of like connectiveness because, people talk about like the loneliness epidemic and, how lonely, and I think, the loneliness thing and feeling disconnected from other people is like really a huge thing that's causing a lot of like the bigger social issues. I think that, things with like, violence and our social economic situations. I think a lot of these things are just because of how disconnected people feel.
Which is a farce. It's a total farce. Like,
Hmm.
this is like the whole society in the last like 200 to 300 years, like it started just to lie to us, right? About who we are. It used to be that your family name alone had meaning, right? What's the reputation of the Joneses, right?
Hmm.
You're part of something beyond you, and you need to show up a certain way because there's a legacy after you, right? Now it's like you move away, your family's here, you're here, your job's the most important thing. You're going to sit at a desk, you're going to stare at tech, which is an object. So now you're human to object. Think about that.
Hmm.
It's not human to human. Out of the 9 different perceiving systems that our brain has of a human, only 5 transfer through when there's tech involved.
Hmm. Yeah.
So like
Well,
we have,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I'm grateful that Zoom exists because I can have a conversation with someone on the other side of
right, right.
but
But
it's
it's
not the same.
right as being eye to eye with,
Yeah.
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 Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, so thank you for explaining to me what really impacted you about the societal aspect. So is it that everyone's impacting each other, or is it that you matter because you have this impact? Or
I mean, I think personally, like I matter as like, to use my platform,
right,
to
right.
create change. But also I think just generally we're all connected and like we don't need to be like victims of like what's happening in our society because we can change it, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And you are changing it every moment. You have power, like right now. Yeah, I mean, power isn't such a great word. Impact.
Yeah.
Impact. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it's 11:05. I should
Yes.
ask. Well, it's great meeting
Yeah,
you.
it was great to meet you too. Thank you so much. Where can the audience find you?
Oh, choose-to-show-up.com. Also, Amazon has the book, and there's an author page. I think there's a contact there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but please be in touch. I love hearing from people because a book, I mean, the way it lives in someone else is nothing that I can ever know unless someone tells me. So it's
Yeah.
really important for me to understand what is helpful. What did you like? What didn't you like? What resonates? What will you take with you, like into your future? Like that matters to me.
Hmm.
I really want to know.
Yeah.
So I want people to reach out.
Yeah. I will encourage them to like check it out, like yeah, and share it with other people. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You have a good rest of your day.
I will, Lalanya, you too. And thank you for the opportunity to, be part of your podcast.
You're very welcome.